Welcome to Gracefully Graying. I am co-founder Lori Bloom. Explore a platform of tips, trends, news, and informative discussions for you and your loved ones. Whether you're 50 and over or way over, find us on gracefullygraying.com, YouTube, and social media. Enjoy this live stream discussion.
Welcome to Gracefully Graying. I am Henry Gornbein, attorney, co-founder, and host. Today on Gracefully Graying, I'm pleased to talk to a dear old friend, David Priver. David and I go back more than 60 years, actually to high school. We met in high school. We were both in the band. He played trumpet, I played clarinet, and we've been friends all this time. About a week ago, David and I were on a phone conversation, and he told me that he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I asked him if we could discuss this sensitive topic, and he said he agreed. So I'd like to ask you a few questions. First of all, David, why don't you tell a little bit about your background and your career as a physician specializing in obstetrics and gynecology?
Well, as you say, I'm an OB/GYN. I have been for a long time, and that has led me to repeat to everybody who wants to hear it that I have the world's best job. And what I mean by that is that I get to be with people at arguably the finest moment of their lives, and then they pay me for it. So, you can't do any better than that. I feel perfectly good, but I know I have what I think is a fairly mild form of Alzheimer's. This happened to my mother. So, I mean, they didn't call it that back when it happened to her, but she had a dementia. In fact, it reached the point where my dad couldn't let her go out of the house because she'd get lost. I'm nowhere near that level at this point, but I'm reasonably sure that's in the future.
David, when did you first feel signs of cognitive loss? Tell us what happened.
Well, I'd say it was about a year ago when I began to forget where I had parked the car or some simple things like that. So Rita and I decided maybe the smartest thing to do would be to go and get a consultation with a neurologist. And so I don't remember how I got her name, but we did go for that consultation. And while I was there, she ran something called an MRI, magnetic resonance imaging study. And she showed me the picture. I mean, you couldn't mistake it. It showed brain shrinkage, which of course is part of the definition of Alzheimer's. But that said, I feel great. I've never felt better. I go for runs every day. I still do a little bit of consulting for attorneys, although I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. I mean, all you'd have to do is put me on a witness stand, and it wouldn't go well.
David, so you've been diagnosed as of approximately a year ago, and how has this impacted your daily life?
Well, it really hasn't very much. I mean, I still do everything that I want to do. I still go for my runs every day. I go down to the fitness room a couple times a week and exercise. The other good news is I'm not gaining weight. In fact, I think I'm losing a little bit of weight, which I suppose that's okay. So the short answer is it really hasn't affected my life. I don't think I've ever been more content.
Well, that's good. I mean, you're 79, and you've lived a very long, full life. What would you tell our viewers have been some of the highlights of your career and your life in general?
Well, as I said before, the highlight of my career has been the pleasure of being with people at a very important moment in their lives. And of course, I don't mind the fact that I actually get paid for doing this. So No, I have done some expert witness work, but as I said before, I certainly don't do it anymore. I would not feel secure. I remember once a very unfortunate situation where I was on a witness stand, and the other attorney asked me, why do I only do plaintiff work? And I said, and I was later on told you can't say things like this. And I said, because the defense all has insurance. And he went berserk because uh, apparently juries are not supposed to know that there's money involved, which I think is kind of a silly notion. What juror doesn't know that there's money involved? But anyway, that's one of the reasons why I don't do this anymore.
Now, you and Rita have been married for what, over 50 years now? Is that correct?
Well, every bit of that. Yes, we got married in 69, so it's 54 years.
And I know you've had a long, happy marriage. What advice would you give to someone who has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's?
Well, I think what I would tell people is you have a condition that may not be particularly bothersome at the moment, but it's important that you understand that Alzheimer's is a progressive condition, and it is going to get worse. So be sure that all of your friends are notified to that effect.
David, are there any mind exercises or cognitive exercise that you do, to help fight this or to help keep yourself mentally sharp?
I'm glad you asked me that, because what I've taken up is doing jigsaw puzzles. And it's good. I think it's a very, very healthy thing to do. I've limited myself to 1,000 pieces, but putting 1,000 pieces together,
It's a lot of work.
It's a bit of work, but I really love it because it gives me an opportunity to have this hand-eye coordination and to create attractive pictures. So I would say that probably doing the jigsaw puzzle has been one of my favorite activities. As I said before, I go down to the fitness room. I exercise a lot. I go for runs. Well, Roger Bannister did under a 4-minute mile. I'm still trying to reach that level for some particular reason.
Well, that's a good goal.
I can't quite manage, but I'm doing okay. I do about 17 or 18 minutes per mile, which for my age, people tell me that's pretty good.
That's good. David, what advice would you give to a loved one of someone who has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's?
Well, I would just tell them that your loved one has a condition that starts off pretty mild, but you need to be aware that as time gets on, it's going to get worse. We all know that Alzheimer's is a progressive condition, and so you have to be very careful with him or her, because if they go out, for example, on a walk by themselves, they may get lost. So it's probably better for you if they want to go out for a walk that you go with them.
David, if you were to give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Well, don't get me into too much trouble here, because well, it would be to seek out smarter friends, I suppose. No, I'm just kidding. No, I feel very fortunate, and I still have enough of a memory left of some of the great times that you and I and our dear friend Mark and our unfortunately lost friend Isaac had together. We took an out west trip. I can remember something about a guitar that was purchased that didn't work out so well. But unfortunately, and of course, we went to at Los Angeles where Isaac had some relatives, and the first thing that they said to us was, "Whatever you do, don't go to Tijuana."
Right.
Now you tell four 19-year-olds not to go to Tijuana, and you can be sure that's exactly what they're going to do. So we did go to Tijuana. I still remember that the main street in that town at the time was a dirt road, Revolucion Boulevard. And I believe Isaac got himself, he got himself into some trouble.
Yeah, Isaac ended up in the Tijuana jail that
He
night.
did wind up in the Tijuana jail, and I do remember that we had to bail him out.
Yes.
Fortunately, in that day and age, it wasn't very expensive.
No,
It was
but
probably just $5 or $10, but we did have to bail him out.
and for our viewers, the four of us have kept in touch and taken trips together over the years, whether it was whitewater rafting, canoeing. We had trips. We went to Nashville one year. We went to national parks in Las Vegas. So we've kept in touch. I mean, David, for our viewers, has lived in San Diego for many, many years. And the other three of our group all lived here locally in the Detroit metropolitan area. And three of you were doctors. I was the only lawyer, and it was kind of an equal split. And again, we've shared many lifetime memories. And what I'd like to ask you now, David, is what words of wisdom would you like to pass on to your family and friends?
Well, you just brought up the fact that I was a physician and you were and are an attorney, and I had to think over what made me decide that I would be a physician and not an attorney. And I got to thinking about that, and I realized that being an attorney is a confrontative position. You have to be representing a plaintiff, or you have to be representing a defendant. But in any event, you're disagreeing with somebody else, and that's the nature of barristry, I think they call it. With being a physician, you're pretty much without anybody opposing what you're doing. Now, I say that with the full understanding that we get sued. And believe me, I'm no exception to that. I have been sued a number of times. I'm not sure how many, maybe 4, maybe 5 times. I've never been convicted in a lawsuit, but I can remember at least once my attorney advising me, your position is strong, but it's not as strong as I'd like it to be. And so this might be a time that you would consider settling. And I said, well, I don't feel really too good about that, but you're my advisor. I have to trust. I don't know anything about the law, but you do. So I will go along with that, and I agreed to a settlement. It wasn't very much, but it was just a principle that it was something I didn't feel terribly comfortable with.
Most cases are settled, actually. What would you want to say to your loved ones?
Well, I would say to them that I am a very happy person. I get up in the morning, I feel good. I have no physical complaints. Nothing hurts me. I don't have any arthritic conditions. I don't have anything that's at least a bit painful. And even though I am dealing with a cognitive issue, that should not frighten you, and it certainly doesn't frighten me.
Good. Before we sign off, I'm going to ask you one last question. David, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh boy. Well, then you're raising the question of, do I want to be remembered? Well, I just want people to remember me as being a reasonable person, never a person eager to get into disputes, a person who agreed to volunteer for a great number of tasks. I've been the president of fraternities. I've been the president of our HOA here. Obviously, I'm nowhere near capable of doing that anymore. But I just want my loved ones to remember that I had a good life. I'm still having a good life. And I intend to continue having that good life as long as I'm lucky enough to do so.
David, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate your sharing this with us and with me, and we will keep in touch, and we're out of time. I want to thank you so much for being our guest on Gracefully Graying. I want to thank our viewers for watching Gracefully Graying, and of course, I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much, David.
Great to talk to you. Bye-bye now.
Bye now.